If my story can inspire one individual or many to contribute to the science of medicine, my objective is accomplished. I hope some may emulate my life. Dr. Nori Dattatreyudu states that in his prologue, and in fact, without doubt, I'm sure that many have already been inspired. My childhood and family. After over 200 years of servitude under colonialism, India gained independence on August 15, 1947. Within 2 months thereafter, on October 21, 1947, I was born. Nori Satyanarayana was my father. My mother's name was Nori Kanakadurgamba. While my father was named after a Hindu god, my mother was named after a Hindu goddess. My father was a teacher in a government school. He was transferred every 2 or 3 years. I vaguely remember the days when he was serving in a village by the name of Tadanki in the combined Madras province of Young India. I was born in a village called Mantada, near Vuyuru in the Krishna district of the then Madras Presidency. Now it is in the Pamidi Mukala subdivision of Nuziveedu Revenue Division of the present state of Andhra Pradesh. In the Federal Republic of India, there are over 30 states. Gurajada, Garikaparru, Kapileshwarapuram and Yakamuru were some of the hamlets near my village, while Vuyuru, Kalavapamula, Pamarru, Pedapurupudi, Totlavalluru were bigger villages nearby. My home was in a village called Totlavalluru. My childhood, as I recollect, I spent in that village. The nearest city was Vijayawada, which was 35 kilometers away. My father was spiritual in nature. Every Sunday he used to observe the vow of silence, his shoulders always adorned with saffron cloth. During the school holidays and in the evenings, he used to give discourses on the popular Hindu epics, the Ramayana, the Bhagavatam, the Devi Bhagavatam, etc. My mother was also deeply religious, and she always, as a matter of routine, used to recite Lalita Sahasranama. There was a spiritual woman named Pichamma Avadhuta in the nearby village of Kurumaddali. As long as she was alive, my parents used to devoutly serve her. Even after her death, they showed the same devotion by visiting her samadhi. Near Mantada, where I was born, there was an ashram in the adjacent Kurumaddali village. During the popular Hindu festival of Navaratri, also known as Dasara, food used to be distributed to the needy all through that period by the hermitage. To contribute to that social cause, my father donated half of his ancestral agricultural land in favor of the hermitage. My parents had 12 children, 6 girls and 6 boys. I was the youngest. It was 1954. I was 6 years old. That year in Chaitra, the first month of the Hindu calendar, on the auspicious occasion of Sri Rama Navami, arrangements were being made for the commemoration of Lord Sri Rama's wedding in the village of Kurumaddali. My father set out to attend the event. He was to catch a bus from Totlavalluru village. I can vividly recall the way I ran behind him, hoping to accompany him to Kurumaddali village. When the bus arrived, it was already crowded to overflowing. My father managed to find a spot for himself on the steps of the footboard of the bus. But I didn't relent. I ran behind the bus. Seeing me, my father got the bus to stop, alighted it as a gesture of affection, gave me 2 anna coins to buy some treats for myself. He assured me that he would return home by that night. but I never surmised that he would fail in his promise. Yes, he broke his promise. Rather, it was destined that way. Later, I was told that my father had gone into a huge canal of the river Krishna for the religious ablution and was swept away by the sudden flow of swirling waters as the sluice gates were opened at Balliparru village up above the stream without giving any warning to the public. As we did not have any inkling of any of these things, all of us were happily celebrating the festival at our village, wearing new clothes as is the tradition. My maternal uncle, Mr. Annambhatla Subbarao, used to live with us in Totlavalluru village. He was the postmaster and his house was the post office. A postal messenger shouted telegram from outside our door. In those days, a telegram invariably meant bad news. As was expected of a telegram, it revealed that my father was missing in the Krishna waters. Everybody at home broke down with sorrow. But somewhere a flickering hope was fluttering in our hearts, expecting some miracle. Somehow that God would rescue him and my father would return home. All of us waited with bated breath throughout the night. While tears were rolling down my cheeks, I was reportedly praying to God. No, my father must not be swept away by the Krishna waters. He must come back, hale and healthy. Initially, I was sitting in front of the God's picture praying to him while the holy diyas were burning, but then I got into a fit of rage and shouted at the God. Started quarreling with him, threatening him, send my father back home, send him, otherwise I will not keep quiet. My sisters later told me that I had fought with the God like that for a long time. Alas, our prayers were not favorably answered. The next day, my father's dead body was found at the sluice gates of Gudlavalleru village. It was brought home. Everybody was weeping. I wept inconsolably. Although I could not understand the magnitude of losing one's father, what I could understand better was that I would not have his love anymore. The son of my maternal uncle apparently asked me, "Hey Dattu, what would you do if you found a glass broken?" I promptly answered, of course, quite innocently, "What would I do? I would throw it away." Taking the cue from my response, my uncle's son continued, "If one's life is lost, the body is like that broken glass. Your father's life is lost, but his soul will remain with us. Then, why should we weep over the lifeless body?" I do not know how much and what I had understood of his comments. But after my brother-in-law pacified me in that way, I never ever wept again about my father's death. My sisters wonder about it even today. When I contemplate the situation, I feel that perhaps my father had seeded his spiritual traits in me. My father was 54 when he died. He had known astrology thoroughly. We later found a notebook where he had written down predictions regarding his own life. He had noted the planetary congruence and its impact on his life, etc. But about 1954, he had marked the date with a circle in red and left it empty. He had not written anything thereafter. My father's unexpected death left us in turmoil. My father's job and his 1 acre of arable land could only sustain my family hand to mouth. The education of almost all the sons and the marriages of some of the daughters was still unaccomplished or due. We had lost our entire source of support. But how my mother managed the family, how she dealt with all the problems without ever making any difficulty public was really commendable. I feel proud to recollect that it was solely her courage and undaunted will that helped us to become self-reliant and settle down in life thereafter. At the same time, I also feel pain to reflect about her then endless difficulties. My elder sisters Padmavati, Anantalakshmi, Sita Mahalakshmi and Mahatripura Sundari were married. My eldest brother Radha Krishnamurti was born after those 4 sisters. He was working as economics lecturer in a Machilipatnam college when my father passed away. My second and third brothers, Mrityunjay Rao and Ram Mohan Rao, were studying in different colleges in the state. So only my other two brothers, Madhurababu and Ramatirtha, and two elder sisters, Indira Devi and Rama Devi, apart from me, the last of the siblings, remained with my mother at Totlavalluru village. I shudder and my tears well up to recollect how my mother managed all the difficulties without others coming to know of them. I remember very well how my mother never used to use the harvest of the paddy, but pounded it into small grains of rice and sold it to the neighbors. I also recollect how she was constrained to sell her two gold bangles to pay my brother's college fees. The list doesn't end there. Those were very painful days. Even today, I shudder with sorrow to recall them. And that had a deep impact on me. During those days, there was nobody to help my mother. Sisters of my father could be of help in some sundry work, but they were all not financially sound. Their home, which housed the post office that delivered the news of my father's death by telegram, used to always scare us. My maternal uncle, who was handling the minor job of postmaster, also died young with some unknown fever. During those difficult times, the elder sister of my mother, Jonalagadda, Sundaramma, stood by my mother like a rock. She became a widow at a young age and had a daughter. Although they were not very rich, they had some agricultural lands in the village of Chinnamuktevi village and had a relatively better income when compared to that of our family. She funded our education. She was of a helping nature and spiritual. Neighbors called her a philosopher. Every evening, many people used to assemble to listen to her discourses. Each one of my elder brothers gradually went for higher studies and secured good jobs. Thereafter, extending their helping hand for a few years to the sibling next in line in that endeavor was more like a routine ritual. All of our brothers, therefore, were able to obtain good positions, and all of my elder sisters were married into respectable families. Although my family was not financially sound, there has never been any dearth of love and affection among us. As I was the last of the children and lost my father at a very young age, not only my mother but everybody used to pamper me a lot. They always used to keep a few special sweets and treats especially for me. Also, they used to spare the yogurt for me while they used to settle for buttermilk for their meals. In our village Totlavalluru, we had two old temples. One was dedicated to Lord Sri Venugopala Swami and his consorts, Rukmini and Satyabhama. The second was dedicated to Lord Sri Chenna Mallikarjuna Swami and his consort Brahmanamba. I can fondly recall the temples because for children like us, after every special puja, they used to liberally distribute the prasadam of pulihora and gugilu. I used to especially like the chittigare that was given in the Shaivite temple of Lord Sri Mallikarjuna. As children, we used to crave these treats and patiently wait for them until the prasadam was distributed.